Oh, yes. Can you hear it? No, I don't think you can. I don't think you can hear it right now. But there's raindrops on the roof, the most calming sound in my world. And rain's interesting because if you're inside and you just showered, you put on your sweats, your fuzzy socks, you're sitting in your Sherpa chair. What's a Sherpa chair? Go to Target. It's like you're sitting in a sheep's lap. It's that Sherpa material. It's all Sherpa all over. Oh, it's the nicest chair where I sit to do my podcasts like this one. And rain can just be the most blissful, calming, nice experience when you're indoors, and it'll even make you talk a little differently like that. Yeah, it's nice. I'm really enjoying that sound. Or you could be in the rain wearing jeans and the wrong footwear and your umbrella doesn't really work well and you're running from one awning to your car and you're just pissed, and then you get in your car and there's traffic and your windshield wipers aren't working, it's too foggy and you can't see shit and your defroster's not working, and all of a sudden you remember that you're all out of milk and you got to stop at the grocery store. Who even likes milk? Why does a 3-year-old still drink milk out of a baby's bottle? And you got to reevaluate your parenting because you're like, shouldn't we have transitioned into sippy cups by now? And God damn it, we got to stop at the store. And that means another trip into the store and then back to the car, running from one awning to another. And I don't have the proper footwear. My jeans are soaked. And then you get into your home and you're like, fuck that rain. And then you take a shower, you get in your sweats and you start recording a podcast. You're like, oh, I like that rain. I'm feeling good. It's episode 246. I hope you're feeling pretty good. I actually slept well. I did my Wim Hof breathing. I went to the gym. I had a decent day with the students. Even on a good day with students, it's still draining. They still drain the life out of you. But in a good way, yeah, in a good way. And we talked about the California gold rush today and U.S. history. Hey, kids, raise your hand if you know anything about the gold rush, yeah? Uh-huh. What's that, Tyler? Oh, yeah. When you were in 5th grade, your class went down to the creek and the parents put some fake gold flakes in the little stream and everyone had their little pans to collect their golden nuggets, and everyone was giggling and having snacks and smiling and saying, we're old gold miners from 1849. Was it cute? Was it fun? Yeah, that's what you remember? Is that what they teach kids? That's what I remember at Dixie. All the parents brought us to Miller Creek, and we pretended it was the gold rush, and everyone's getting rich from these pretend gold flakes that the parents must have spray painted ahead of time, and it was a memorable day at Dixie. And now we don't call it Dixie anymore. And now when we really study the gold rush, we go, oh, that shit was awful. I mean, the gold rush was about thousands and thousands and thousands of people coming out west and not getting rich and realize, oh, it's a lawless, wild, wild west scene out here with a lot of racism and a very, very aggressive governor who said, if you scalp an Indian, you bring it to me for a bounty. They don't tell that story to the 5th graders. And all the wildlife that was just going to maul people to death. It wasn't called camping, certainly not glamping, but the gold rush, when you really get into the nitty gritty, most people didn't get rich. Most people came out here and starved to death. Most people saw race wars. Most people saw mayhem and massacres. I mean, the California Gold Rush, we named a football team the 49ers. Doesn't that sound like a positive thing? 1849, the 49ers. That was a miserable time in history. That was about the time, you couldn't make it all the way out here. There's no road map. There's no paved roads. You got your oxen. You got your wagon. You got your kid. I'm not even saying plural. Not all kids are going to survive that mission coming out west. You got, 1 or 2 kids left? And then you just see that all your friends have perished around you and you got to contemplate, should I eat them? The old cannibal question. And where would I even start? Do I grill a calf? I mean, really, do I start an open flame and try to season a calf or a thigh with a little salt? And if you think this is morbid and a little gross, I beg to differ. I'll bet the taste of some human muscle meat was the taste of hope. Yeah, if you have a little butt cheek sashimi, you weren't thinking, oh, this is so disgusting. You were like, I live to see another day. I'm getting closer to the Sierra Nevada where I'm going to get rich from all the gold I've heard about. I'm going to California, and I'm going to have some whiskey at a saloon, and then go to a brothel, and then put up a tent right next to Sutter's Mill, and just swim through the gold. Holy moly. How many grisly attacks did they conceal from that 5th grade lesson plan? How many native tribe executions did they not tell you, Tyler, in 5th grade? It gets a little more morbid when you grow up and study history, but we got to package it differently for the kids. I get that. But then as you grow up, you're not supposed to sugarcoat it. You're like, all right, let's take a serious tone. Okay, we're going to be talking about the gold rush. What am I talking about? Sorry, the rain is in my soul right now. I feel so calm. I feel so fortunate to have a roof above me and not a thin layer of leather in my wagon. What were wagons even made of? On the old California Trail out west. And those folks, I know for a fact, did not have dietary restrictions. Not a lot of gluten-free vegan settlers. Is that weird how we limit ourselves in the world of food nowadays? When you're a kid, you would never think about that. Like later in life, my body might reject some things. I might become lactose intolerant or maybe a sugar addict and need to avoid that. Or maybe I'll become obese because I love cheeseburgers and cheeseburgers and cheeseburgers so much. When you're a kid, you just eat it all. Like the idea of why are the parents limiting candy and ice cream? It doesn't make sense to little kids. And now I'm at an age where I'm like, I go to a restaurant, I'm looking at entree salads. How fucking boring does it become to be an adult that's health conscious? Should I limit my saturated fats? I'm even eating healthy stuff in moderation. That's sad. Who knew that food would become this tango? Like you got to dance with it. You got to challenge yourself. Can I do a week of eating well before maybe on Saturday I reward myself? That's such a modern luxury. How privileged am I that I get to do these little food challenges? I got to avoid that. Got to try to decrease red meat and cheese this week. Doing a sober October. You think these settlers were doing a sober October? Holy shit. The amount of drinking makes a lot of sense. And I know we've had a lot of movements in this country to reduce alcohol consumption. But when you really think about it, if you got out on a dirt trail in your wagon with your oxen, watching all your friends die around you, chances are you're not going to be like, sorry guys, I'm abstaining. It's a sober October. I'm gluten-free, so I'm looking for some other options as we forage through this mess. No, you're like, fuck, I'll eat your ass. I will eat your thigh. I can't wait for you to freeze to death. I am going to eat your neck, Lester. I am going to rub garlic salt all over your belly, Gary. Now take your last breath already. That's the gold rush, kids, but thank you, parents, for painting the rocks back in 1990. 91. All right, where are we going to go? So it's episode 246. We got to this point in our lives, and I think we're just surrounded with bots because most of us are just living life on these devices, right? And we're convinced that all these comments we read under every single article ever written, comments, thousands of comments, right? Everything is reviewed. And I don't just mean like restaurants on Yelp. That makes sense, but people are reviewing grocery stores and playgrounds. And then on social media, thousands of comments for every post. And then even sponsored content. Like I saw Kevin Hart was promoting joggers on my Facebook page. There was 2,000 comments below like, these are a game changer. Those aren't real humans, right? These are just bots. They have to be bots. Who is convinced that their trivial thoughts are that meaningful that they have to record them? I have to type in how I feel about this Trader Joe's. I have to type in how I feel about this playground on Yelp. Who's really typing these comments on everything? These aren't humans. There's no way. Our thoughts don't need to be recorded. For most of human history, we were just living our lives without recording every little thought. I got the Reddit app. I'm on Reddit. Actually, I'm not posting, but I got the Reddit app. Every dumb little topic, 36,000 comments. Hey, folks, does pineapple belong on pizza? 70,000 comments. Who's doing? What are we doing? What are we doing at this point? Every YouTube video? The dumbest shit ever. Someone has to really type in. And then what did you accomplish? Like, I actually wondered that because I told my wife, I was like, I don't comment on anything. Like, I have reached a point where it's like, that sounds like not only meaningless, but a waste of time. What is the point? I actually wonder that. And it's the same point in my life where I've learned about what's virtue signaling. I think I've heard this talked about a lot because the Dems lost, right? Kamala loses, so the party loses, and people start to analyze, why did the liberals lose? And I saw an analyst say too much virtue signaling, and I genuinely didn't really understand what that meant. Like, I've heard it before, and I kind of understood it. I once had a student in journalism class write a story where she's like, all these people are doing these comments on Instagram as if they care about these mass shootings or as if they care about the environment. And she was a good writer. She's like, but I don't really think people care because they changed their filter on their photo to say never forget or stand with Ukraine or changed your pronouns on your email. Like, it looks good and it probably feels good to tell the world I'm so moral and I'm so woke and I'm so conscious of what matters. But virtue signaling is when it's insincere and it's really just for you to elevate your status and how you look to others. And I was thinking that might be what's behind all these comments. If in fact these are real humans. I mean, seems like they're bots, right? But if they're real humans commenting on everything, like my opinion is going to matter so deeply, maybe that's an element of virtue signaling. Being convinced that you get to portray yourself in this tech electronic social media world. You get to invent yourself. Hey, right? I kind of remember that my first AOL chat room experience ever with Anthony and Alan and Rick. We all got the AOL CD where it's like, you got an hour and a half. That's all. And I went into a chat room and I was like, I don't have to be Josh Rosenberg in a chat room. I think I told everyone I was Tim Hardaway of the Golden State Warriors. You could just, hey guys, this is who I am. So virtue signaling is like, hey, I'm just going to tell you all who I am. I care deeply about this. I care deeply about gender neutral bathrooms. Now, deep down, you might not give a shit, but you like the way it feels to care. And you like that people are going to admire your stance on something. So, hey, you get to post it. You get to talk about it. I think there's a high level of insincerity. Then it gets to the point where you're too cautious. You're like, oh, I can't say anything offensive. I have to be sensitive to everything always. And it makes me look good because when you're sensitive to others, you develop a reputation of a good person. And we all want to be good people. Is that right? Is that a fact? We all want to be good people? I don't know. I think it might be a universal fact. Do we all want to be good people? I'll speak for myself. Yeah, I want to be good. I want to be good, but not to the point where I would be like, you know something? I'm going to take a fake stance on a political issue and let everyone know. From Reddit to Twitter to Instagram, I'm going to go on Yelp and virtue signal the shit out of Yelp today. It's kind of a weird phenomena. What's the difference between phenomena and phenomenon? I don't even want to Google this. I don't even have my phone with me. How about that? I purposely didn't bring my phone into this episode, but virtue signaling, kind of a wild phenomena or phenomenon. Who cares? Who cares? I mean, I kind of do, right? We like to get things right. We don't like our typos. We don't like to be grammatically incorrect. We don't like to make mistakes, but we all do all the time. It's weird that we haven't just accepted that. I hereby declare I'll accept it. I'm going to say some inaccurate shit on this podcast, and I'll get some words wrong from time to time, and you'll be on this ride with me. It's relatable. Holy moly. Holy shit. Every single social media thread after the election, people are trying to solve it. It's done. Like, you can find the deepest theory of corruption. It's done. There's not going to be breaking news of a recount. I should get off Reddit. Listen to me. I'm ready to just throw all the conspiracy theories I've read at you. There was this one person on Reddit today who was right. Nope. Just don't reiterate that nonsense. Just move on. Just move on with the show. All right, I noticed something. And I didn't exactly realize this when I first started teaching, but I realize it now. The kids that are academically driven are so stressed about college because it's tougher to get into these schools than ever. It's also more expensive to actually go to these schools than ever. And when I tell my story, I was like, I think I had like a 3.4 GPA and I got into San Diego State, and maybe I had a 1200 on the SATs. And San Diego State back then was like $999 a semester. And when I say these stories, I sound like an old man speaking nonsense. Because nowadays, you need like a 4.0 to get into San Diego State. You need close to a 1600 SAT score. You need all the extracurriculars. You need to be the president of the club. You need to play sports. You need to be involved in the arts. You need to write essays. You need to virtue signal your dick off and show the world that you care deeply about the disadvantaged. And then you pray. And then you pray that you get into your dream school that you've worked so hard for 4 years to get into. And this is the AP advanced placement world. For a lot of these kids, it's so competitive, not just with, other strangers at other schools, but when I return tests, they all like to discuss, what'd you get? What'd you get? Hey, what'd you get? They're so competitive with each other because they have this tunnel vision towards college. And college, once you get there, once you settle in, once you arrive, it's really just, for a lot of people, like, let's just party really hard, right? And college often lives up to the hype. So it's being hyped so hard. A college party. Dorm life. No rules, no bedtime. Away from your parents. Just straight buffoonery for 4 years. That has to be the incentive, right? I mean, the wildly fun aspects. What are you working so hard? If you're 15, 16, 17, 18, and you're working so hard for something, if you're one of these driven students, what you're picturing has to be so fun. I think we've overhyped this idea. Like, you gotta go, not just go to college. Like, forget your fallback school. You don't want Sac State, you want Stanford. So you're going to work so hard and stress yourself out and probably have some mental health challenges along the way, because what kind of 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old should be that stressed about higher education? But a lot of them are. So you got to create this story that once you get there, it's not just like more studying and more tests and more projects and more exams. You got to create this different world. This is why college is so amazing. It lives up to it. College is actually in the hands of the 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds. I mean, yes, there are adults who work on the campuses as professors. And yes, there's a few grown-ups in these college towns. But truly, I think these are the kids who reach this point. And they're just like, you know what? I just worked really hard to get here. I'm going to let loose. And then focus just enough to get by, to get the degree. And then hopefully that elevates me in the world of employment one day. Like, if you're really career driven, maybe you're already thinking about that. But I think most high school kids who are spending that much time caring about college, I think it represents the biggest win that they can even imagine. I win the world of having fun. I win the party lottery. I win the socializing jackpot. I win. I got here. And it becomes such a defining chapter of life. And I heard an author came to speak to our staff. She wrote a book about how, a social media account that has racist posts on it is not private. Like, if a group of friends thinks that they're just having a private little chat together, it's not. It'll get exposed and it could ruin your life. What you post online could ruin your life. It was a great book written by an author who researched a scandal at Albany High School in 2017. But when she was speaking to our staff, she was like, I think we have to kind of rethink what college means to these teenagers, because they're driven to the point where they're driving themselves nuts. Like, every little percentage point matters. And then you ask them, what are you doing this for? Like, why is a 4.0 so much different than a 3.6 to you? Like, what does college even represent in your brain? Like, what does it mean to you right now? I don't know how many of them could even articulate it. They've just been programmed to say, I got to get there, I got to get there. And once you get there, it's the let loose generation. But I guess I can only say this in hindsight. If I was a teen nowadays, I'd just get swept up in the same current they're all in. But in hindsight, I'm like, I don't even remember caring. Like, my mom had to remind me, you got to apply to college. You can't just stay. And I was like, all right. So I applied to 4 colleges, got into a few, and I was like, all right, then that's where life goes. Very nonchalant. Needed a kick in the ass. And then I look back on those years, I was like, do I remember anything from inside the classrooms at San Diego State? The answer is not really. I majored in broadcast journalism or journalism communications. You could teach that to someone in a month. You could honestly teach someone the whole major of journalism if they wanted to listen to you in 1 month. I guarantee I could teach you how to be a news reporter. There's only a few majors that you really need to be on a campus for like 3 years. Most shit you can just learn. You watch a good YouTube video now, right? Am I right? Am I right? Even me conducting a history class. Google this shit. There's no suspense. You want to know World War II? Google it up. I mean, what we're doing is building literacy skills, and we have simulations, and it's good for interactions, and it could be fun, it could be stimulating, but really a lot of these subjects, what are you doing for 4 years? Unless you're like business, engineering, law, or pre-med, a lot of majors, you're like, do I need to be here for 4 years with the thin residue of a hangover, eating cup of noodles, top ramen, 2 Jack-in-the-Box tacos for $1, waking up at noon, getting a workout in, and then going back in for a nap, drunk dial in, and then drunk apologizing and drunk apologizing. And then eventually they gave me a cap and a gown, and my family visited, and we had ourselves a graduation ceremony, and then I got spit out into the real world, and I go, well, that was an interesting experience, but it's not a life-defining experience. That's the point, is that it gets overhyped in a sense. It lives up to the hype from a party standpoint. I mean, from a fun standpoint, it's that, but whatever it's created in the minds of a lot of teens, that's where we got to ease off the pedal a bit. That's where we got to get a little fresh air. Pump the brakes, get some fresh air, step away from that and realize, for some of you, if it means you'll have a healthier 4 years of high school to get a 3.4 GPA, and maybe you didn't have to join all those clubs that you weren't interested in just because your mom and dad said it'll look good on the resume. Maybe you didn't need to spend all that time with the tutor because you actually could have been chilling with some friends, or maybe giving a hickey, receiving a hickey. I don't know. Vaping up a storm. I don't know. But maybe you got into, let's say, Cal State Stanislaus. You could still have some fun there. That degree's still going to look good. It'll still launch you in the right direction. The name of my speech is the opposite of reach for the stars. The name of my speech is set the bar low. Like put the bar on the ground so where you could step over it. It's not a great speech. And on the flip side, for the other population of students that are not academically driven, I also feel for them. I don't just feel for the high-pressured kid who's stressed out of his brain every day thinking about college. I also feel for the kid who's like, I just don't want to be here. That's got to be a rough feeling. Nowadays we have a different view of weed, like marijuana, cannabis, whatever you call it, pot, dank, chronic. We have a different view of it. A lot of people say, well, maybe they're self-medicating, right? Maybe they're not just partying. If you have a kid in your class who looks blazed out of his mind, maybe that kid's not like a little juvenile delinquent, but maybe they're just full of anxiety, have some issues happening at home, and they're like, you know what? This helps me feel a little better. If you frame it that way, it's less criminal. I remember my very first year ever teaching, 2015, at Novato High. I had this kid, AJ. He was so high. I barely knew how to deal with it. I was just trying to understand how to be a teacher in that moment. And this kid comes in just ripped out of his mind. Eyes glazed over and red, long hair, had a beanie. I actually really liked this kid. And I was talking about the French Revolution for like a half hour. I probably said King Louis 30 times. And at the end of class, I just had to air him out. I just had to say something. I was like, AJ, he was in the back. I was like, are you with us today? And 30 eyeballs, or 60. If it's 30 kids, so 60 eyeballs just all zoomed to AJ. Oh, the teacher's talking to the kid who's stoned. And thinking in the back of my mind, we probably should get admin involved. Like, this kid is definitely breaking school rules. But I was like, AJ, you with me? And he's like, yeah. Yeah? And I was like, okay, really? Like, you're with me today? And now the class is kind of laughing. They understand what's happening. The teacher is on to AJ. And I'm like, AJ, I'm going to ask you right now. Keep in mind, I talked about the French Revolution for about a half hour. I said the king's name about 30 times. AJ, what was the king's first name? King of France during the French Revolution. And he looks up at the ceiling for like 12 minutes. In my head, it felt like 12 minutes. It was probably like 20 seconds. I'm like, just give me the king's first name. Come on, AJ, you got this. And he's like, he didn't say, I don't know, which would have just been fine. But he was like, and then he looked from the ceiling right into my eyes, and he said, King Lopez? And I was like, Yeah, yes, King Lopez. Then the bell rang and everyone got up laughing. And I could tell his closest friends were like, AJ, you can't do that shit. Like they were laughing too, but they were like, AJ, you can't do that shit. Like Rosenberg's a grown up. And then I spoke to him and then we had to get the parents involved and we were cool. I don't think he made it to the next year of high school. That's how it works sometimes. But his friends were like, you can't do that. I think nowadays it's like, sure you can. I feel like that's the message. When it comes to weed, I feel like there's a different sort of tone around it. Like, yeah, you can. A lot of these kids are straight up fearless. I couldn't imagine. How scary would that be? Stoned in your sophomore high school class and the teacher is asking you to tell him King Louis was the king of France? This kid was brave. King Lopez? No. All right, class dismissed. We out. Podcast dismissed as well. Who knows what we talked about today? But I want to get back to the rain on the roof. Appreciate you listening as always. Have yourself a happy Thanksgiving break ahead. If I don't do an episode until then, I'm thankful. Taking the thankfulness out of Thanksgiving. I'm thankful that you streamed this bad boy. And as we inch closer towards the holidays, may we all be in good health. Oh, so deep. All right, I'll talk to you soon.